Hello everyone, I'm Celeste, and today I'll be reading you a Japanese creepypasta from Saya in Underworld called Kiich and the Old Telephone. I hope you enjoy, and I hope you have the loveliest of dreams tonight. Let's get started. Up until my grandfather Kiich was 17, our family ran a pawn shop. He told me an interesting story related to it. In those days, when my grandfather was still a boy, people still believed in spirits, gods, and yokai without question, especially in rural areas such as the town where my grandfather lived. So it was not uncommon for them to have people bring objects endowed with some supernatural power to their pawn shop. I don't know how they judged the value of those objects, but my grandfather said, my father was spiritually sensitive, so he could tell which ones were endowed with special power and which ones weren't. In Kiichi's time, they didn't have a telephone yet, or rather, there was one in government offices and large companies, but they didn't have one at home yet. Kiich had of course seen it once or twice in the municipal office, but it was still something that seemed to him as if it belonged in a faraway land. Then, one day, he found a telephone in their kura, or storehouse. It was a serious matter to him. As soon as he saw it, he ran out of the kura and rushed down the enegawa, a sort of veranda, to reach the pawn shop. "Dad, why? A telephone in the kura? In the kura?" The overexcited Kiich only managed to stammer some incoherent broken words, but his father understood the situation immediately. "You brat, you entered the kura again without my permission." He glowered at him disapprovingly, but the boy was too excited to take notice of it. "Can I talk into it? Can we talk to Grandpa in the next town?" His father gave a glance at the boy's sparkling eyes and scoffed. "Fool, we don't have a telephone line at home, and Grandpa would have to have a telephone in his home too if we wanted to speak to him." His father's words felt like a cold shower, which caused Kiichi's excitement to suddenly die down. The only places you will find telephones around here are probably in the municipal office, military office, and the kimono store in the next town. In any case, a brat like you would have no business using it. His father then shooed him away, and Kiich left the shop, utterly crestfallen. He soon learned that a rich man had already purchased the telephone, and it would be kept in the kura only for the next few weeks. The telephone was broken, so it would be just used as an object of art to adorn a wall of the rich man's house. The telephone at the time was huge, and was usually hung on a wall. Even so, Kiich would often steal into the kura behind his father's back, and would pick up the handset of the telephone and talk into it all by himself. And Dad was so angry and Mom started crying. It was so crazy. He suddenly heard someone laugh at his story. Huh? Kiich looked around him, but of course there was no one apart from him in the kura. Then, he concluded, the sound could have only come from the telephone. Hello? Who is it?" asked Kiich timidly. "Hello?" the person answered him. "Dad lied to me. He didn't want me to use the telephone, so that's why he said it was broken," Kiich thought. He felt a surge of excitement rise up in his chest. Good afternoon," he spoke into the telephone again. "Good afternoon. I did not mean to make a noise, but your story was so interesting that I could not help it. Please pardon me for eavesdropping on you." The man on the other side of the line seemed to be a well-mannered gentleman. "Don't worry about that. But which prefecture are you calling from?" Kiich was full of curiosity. "Well, I live in a very faraway place. It is somewhere you do not know." "You don't mean a foreign country? Is it further from here than Holland?" The man chuckled when Kiich asked the question. "Yes, it is probably much further than Holland." Since then, Kiich would sneak into the kura every night after his father had gone to sleep and make a call to the stranger. Kiich would just need to pick up the handset and say hello, and the man would return a hello to him. The man told him many entertaining, real-life stories. One day, he asked the man, "What do you do for a living, Oji-san?" The man sounded a little hesitant to answer it. Well, my previous work was about making people happy." Happy? How? "There were a lot of things I did. For example, I made sure money flowed into them often." Kiichi assumed that the man was working for a bank or something. "Oh, is that so? How about now?" This question somehow caused the man's voice to drop low. "I finished my term in my previous work, and now I'm doing something completely opposite. But I just have to do this for a while, and then I can go back to my previous work again." Kiichi pondered on it. The man was now probably taking away people's money instead of giving it to them, so perhaps he was now a debt collector hired by the Yakuza. It must be hard being a bank clerk sometimes and then being a debt collector at other times. He gave the man some words of sympathy. Those exciting days went by so fast, and the day came when the telephone was to be handed over to the rightful owner. "Hello? You do not seem so cheerful today. Has anything happened?" The man sounded worried. Kiichi told him about their pawn shop and said that this was the last day they could talk, because the owner would be coming to get the telephone the next day. He was feeling quite sad. "I see. I shall miss you. But it is a good thing, because I could not have kept myself from carrying out my duties any longer. I am glad no harm shall be done unto you now." Kiichi didn't understand what he meant by those words, but he could feel the man was feeling sad too, which comforted his heart. "I have one more thing to ask you. Is the person who is to become the owner of this telephone wealthy?" The man asked him a strange question. "Yes, he is a rich man, but a nasty one, according to my dad. So you probably shouldn't call this telephone from tomorrow," Kiichi told him. "That is good to know. I hope we shall meet again." "But we haven't met yet. What you should say is, 'I hope we will meet someday,'" Kiichi replied, and shortly after that, he hung up. The next day, the rich owner came to the shop to pick up the telephone. Kiichi stood beside his father and watched it leave the shop. After the owner had left, his father turned around to face him. "So you've become pretty chummy with that telephone." Kiichi nearly jumped out of his skin. What are you talking about?" He tried his best to look innocent, but his father wasn't about to be deceived. "You've done a good job, though. You became friends with that god of poverty, so no misfortune has fallen on us until today. Not only that, but our sales have gone up too." That surprised Kiichi even more. God of poverty? That telephone? What about the man I was talking to? "That's why you are a fool. I said we have no telephone line here. How could someone have called you?" Kiichi hadn't really understood what telephone lines were. "Is it okay to sell something that's haunted by a god of poverty to someone?" Kiichi asked, realizing the situation. "I wouldn't dream of exorcising a god. And besides, that man has been a scoundrel from the time I can remember. He will only get his just deserts. He will come here again if he becomes pressed for money. I hope it will have turned into a god of fortune by that time." His father gave a little chuckle, yawned, and disappeared into the tea room. Kiichi had just begun to reflect on the conversation he had with the man when his father stuck his head out of the tea room and said, "Remember, this was only a one-time thing. Don't you start putting any funny ideas into your head. If you ever go into the Kura again without my permission, I'll hang you from the tree in the backyard." His father's stern stare left Kiichi trembling like a little bird. I don't know what happened to the telephone after that, but my grandfather told me that they finally installed a telephone line at home, and he picked up a call for the first time. For a moment, he imagined he would hear that man's voice saying hello on the other side of the phone.